We start with...
Yeah. Yes, please. Thank you.
Coming. Wait.
You're very short, but I think one can uplift this. Is that okay?
Can we start? Yeah. I am very short. Now I'm short.
Yeah. So you have to stand up and then... Okay. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, members of press, friends and colleagues. Welcome to this press conference called Ethics and Peace, Accelerating Climate Action. It's hosted by the Brahma Kumaris at COP30 here in Belém. My name is Sonja Ohlsson. I'm from Brahma Kumaris Environment Initiative, and I will be moderating this session. At this critical moment for all of us and for the planet, discussions on technology, finance, and policy are at the core of the negotiations, but that is also values and ethics that guide them. The climate crisis is not only a scientific or a political one, it is a moral and a human one. So we thank the Brazilian presidency for bringing ethics to the negotiation table this year. The Global Ethical Stocktake invites everyone, organizations, political institutions, and to all of us to reflect are our actions truly aligned with ethical principles. We also know that climate change and peace are deeply connected. Food insecurity, displacement, all effects of climate change, it's increasing present conflicts and creating new ones. So on this topic, I have 3 distinguished guests who will together bring their experience in this press conference. So welcome to Sister Jayanti from the Brahma Kumaris, Golo Pilz, advisor on renewable energy, Brahma Kumaris, and Mr. Suresh Yadav, Director of Climate Change Division at the Commonwealth Secretariat. So let's begin on the ground. I will ask Golo Pilz to share what Brahma Kumaris are doing for ethics and peace and climate action. Golo Pilz has played a key role in establishing Brahma Kumaris as one of the major single users of renewable energies in India, and he started already back in the 90s. And Golo Pilz has also been to the last 16 climate change conferences advocating for innovation, renewable energy and values. So welcome, Golo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sonja, for the opportunity. And I would just little bit share about the Brahma Kumaris. We are a worldwide spiritual organization founded in India in the 1930s, and we're dedicated to personal transformation and world renewal through meditation and spiritual values and ethics. We are well known for having women in the primary leadership and do operate over 8,500 centers in more than 110 countries. We also have, of course, some strategy for the unfolding climate crisis, and we believe a change of mindset is very important through meditation, strengthening of moral and ethical standards, and here at COP we support the interfaith process, the ethical stocktake and the Murti Rao concept. We promote also low-carbon cyclic economy and a farming model, a holistic farming model. We promote also a vegetarian or plant-based diet and promote, of course, renewable energies. Brahma Kumaris is also conducting a lot of research on renewable energies, and we have done over the last 30 years very extensive research in photovoltaics, solar steam cooking, solar hot water, solar passive architecture, solar thermal power, and energy efficiency. I just like to share some of our projects. You can see here our 400 kilowatt power plant in Delhi, and in the background also our solar steam cooking system. We also installed recently a 160 kilowatt photovoltaic system at our Gyan Sarovar campus in Mount Abu, and we store the solar power energy in big batteries, have 200 kilowatt inverters, and send the power down into our kitchen. And we have installed 3 250-liter induction cooking pots, and we're cooking entirely by the power of photovoltaic and induction cooking, and the kitchen is very happy because the heat is instant and the temperature can be regulated very nicely. In 1999, we installed a solar steam cooking system in Abu Road in our Shantivan campus. We can accommodate 20,000 people in our Shantivan campus, and we can cook 35,000 meals with this solar steam cooker. And the beauty is that system is still operational and has given a payback many, many times already. We also installed a couple of years ago a big India One power station, and the speciality is we have thermal storage, and we produce 1 megawatt of solar power, and we have received funding from the Indian Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Sources, as well as from GIZ through the German Ministry of Environment. And this solar thermal power plant features thermal storage, so we can actually sort of store the energy overnight and run 24 hours continuously. We added later also 3 megawatt of photovoltaic and 1 megawatt lithium battery bank, and we synchronize the thermal power station with photovoltaic and supply power to our campus. Very successful project. We also do a lot of training and education. We train the local people in qualification, but we also did 50 workshops on CSP, concentrating solar power, financed by UNDP, and all the time we receive approximately 100,000 visitors per year on the site, on the solar site, and we all inform them about the benefits of the technology. A year ago, we designed and installed a new biogas plant. We got the design from one of our German engineers, and the beauty is that the plant is running successful. We segregate all the waste and we collect the organic matter, approximately 3 to 5 tons per day, and we generate biomass and then put it into a fermenter and create biogas methane and run a 50 kilowatt generator for 8 hours per day. The plant runs very, very successful, and we are very glad for its operation, and we share the design with any interested party. My personal story is that I joined Brahma Kumaris 40 years ago. I learned meditation and to connect to my inner goodness, to my ethics and my values, and that's my personal foundation to do all this, to initiate all these projects. And so we all have to follow a new paradigm. Values and ethics are at the foundation of a green transition. And if we all join hands in this process, I'm sure that there's enough money, enough resources, enough clean technology in the world to bring a transition towards a better world. Thanks very much for your attention. You will find here our webpage with all information on the Brahma Kumaris, on our environment initiative, on Yogis for Future platform, and on the solar programs. And I give back to Sonja Ohlsson. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Golo, for sharing the ethical principles of sharing, training, volunteer work, collaboration, inner goodness, and combining that with innovation and renewable energy. So my next speaker is Suresh Yadav here. He brings over 25 years of experience across public and private sectors and international organizations. You are currently the Senior Director for Trade, Oceans, Natural Resources, and lead on AI and digital transformation at the Commonwealth Secretariat. Welcome. So, Suresh, Yadav, how do the Commonwealth integrate ethics and equity in its climate strategy to make sure that the policies and climate actions are ethical and fair? And can other organizations learn from you?
Thank you so much, and thank you, Sister Jayanti, and thank you, Sonja, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a very different setting, and I must say before I say anything that I have not been to the headquarters in Mount Abu, but I have seen the facilities, the infrastructure, the work which is being done in UK. And my boss, the President of India, whom I served for 4 years, used to be visit several occasions, even including the current President of India. So you can, in this global setting, you can understand the great outstanding contribution made by the Brahma Kumaris institutions, not only within in India, but outside the world. So big congratulations to all of you, Sister Jayanti, to you and your team for creating something which is unique in model and structure. And before I say what we do in the Commonwealth, I just wanted to acknowledge one thing, that if you look around the world, everybody is talking about gender mainstreaming, women-led enterprises. How do you mainstream the women's role in bringing the fairness in the climate and climate justice? But here is an organization which is led by the women leadership, but the women leadership not for the women, but for all. So that's a fundamental shift I see. And when I was looking at the slide which was presented, which was talking about peace to green transition, that is another story. So I don't know if somebody has put it in that way, but the work which you are doing is a blend of the energy, technologies, and done by the women leadership for creating a public good for everybody. If your contribution is not for X number or X% of the population, but whole planet. So making that planet sustainable using your peace, harmony, collaboration, cooperations with the government, with the society is laudable. And I salute you for that commitment around the world. Coming back, the organization I've been told, I lead the Directorate of the Climate Change, Ocean and Energy, which is focused around all the sustainability issues, which is being talked about here in the COP30. Let me say that we have in the Commonwealth Secretariat as a Commonwealth Charter, which was adopted by the Commonwealth leaders in 2012. And the peace is the foundation. The ethics is the foundation. The environment, sustainability, and sustainable development is foundation. Consensus is foundation. Taking along the young people and the women is our core principles and the foundation. So we work at the intersection. We are guided by these very basic principles. And how I personally see, ethics is not a question of teaching somebody the only moral values or a character building. How do we see ethics as a accelerator for the climate adoption point of view? Ethics is something which gives us that power to do which is right, not for our family, not for ourselves, but for the planet. If we're ethically right, if we're able to do that, we will get it right for the planet. Many of the conflict, many of the situations which you might be seeing is because somebody somewhere has deviated that accelerated path. The unethical principle, on the other hand, of the profit-oriented or super profit-oriented or over-exploitation of natural resources is a break on the other side. The second point I wanted to say that which Sister Jayanti and her team does a lot of work on the inner peace. No planet can be safe till we are at peace within ourselves and peace with the planet. So this is another area that I feel personally I practice, and I practice all forms of meditations. If you see any of the things come, I just lap it up and learn it to see where it is and how it is going. And my fundamental conclusion is that even there may be thousands of practices, for achieving the inner peace, but all leads to one way, connecting with the nature, connecting with the planet, connecting with yourself, and connecting with the humanities in a right way. The third one, I will say that you might have seen everybody talking about climate resilience, but first we have to be inner resilience. So that's what the institutions like the Brahma Kumaris are developing, the resilience for society, resilience for democracy, resilience for environment, resilience for within ourselves and our family. So these are the few things which I say is very relevant and very important for the society, for 8 billion people on the planet. And I must say that the initiative which we are seeing here today, and thank you for sharing all those great work which you are doing, the green transition. I don't know how many people know that there's Brahma Kumari institutions runs on a net zero carbon goal on all their facilities in London or in Mount Abu, and building up their solar power plants, maintaining them. It's not an easy thing, and particularly done by the volunteers. That model itself is a phenomenal model, and that also brings to a point that when you have the cooperative of the people, not necessarily a model where everybody is paid, but everybody is coming to cooperate, support through their skills and knowledge, that leads to something which is great for the planet, which is great for the society, and great for us and individuals. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share my thoughts. Over to you.
Thank you very much for your interesting thoughts, and that the ethical principles is something that is right for everybody, and the pillars of voluntary work, youth, women, and peace is ethical foundation. And next speaker is Sister Jayanti Kirpalani, Additional Administrative Head of the Brahma Kumaris, and its UN representative to UN in Geneva. And you are a spiritual teacher for 60 years and led our Brahma Kumaris delegation to the COP for the last 20 years. So Sister Jayanti, how can inner peace and ethical awareness empower global leaders and communities to make the courageous right decisions? And can you name some ethical principles to make it more practical for us? Thank you.
A greeting of peace to my sisters and my brothers and the respected members of the dais. And definitely, it's a very, very good step that we're looking at the whole subject of ethics and being able to see what's happening around the globe at this particular moment. And what we see is that people will always say they love the planet or they love nature, but then when it comes to actually protecting nature, then there's a big difference in their behavior. Or even when we see leaders talk about their commitment to their people, but then when you look at the ethics around climate change and what is needed here, then we find that, again, there's a big discrepancy. It's been very interesting that in the last few years, all the elections that we have had have been won on the basis of people saying that they're going to deal with climate, at least as one of the issues, but yet most leaders have turned their backs on that responsibility. And so I would suggest that in terms of the ethical global stake, what we are seeing is that there really isn't fairness. The people who are suffering the most are the people who had very little to do with creating climate change. Even if I think about India and the vast population of India and how it's not that the people there have been responsible for climate change, but being in India over the last few months, I saw the dramatic rises in heat across the whole continent, but also I saw how water is either in huge shortage, and so there's drought and famine in some areas, and in other areas where the water does come, it comes as a hurricane or it comes as a flood, and so it creates incalculable losses. And so can we think about fairness and justice as being the ethical values that can support a transition to a new relationship with nature in which there can be harmony within, harmony with others, but also harmony with the planet that has sustained human life for millennia. And one other thing that I particularly want to mention is the whole subject of accountability and transparency. Because again, where promises are made and then the back is turned on those promises, and this has been happening for many, many years now. It's not a new story. It's a story that we've heard so often, promises being made and yet not being fulfilled. And yes, there was a time when the developed world could have contributed in a major way to help the developing world. But at this moment, I see how the developed world itself is now suffering through the impact of climate change, and where billions are now having to be spent by each country trying to resolve the damage that had been caused. I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, there had been a natural disaster in Norway, and the offering that was being made to Norway, a person from Norway, a young man, actually stated that the amount of compensation they were being offered really was peanuts compared to the amount of damage that had been caused. Now, if a developed country like Norway says we're not getting enough, can you imagine what other countries are going to say and feel? And so really to bring in the whole subject of transparency and accountability in terms of the ethics connected with climate change and the planet is so very, very important. The other thing that's very much connected with all of this is we can understand what values we need to have. We can understand what it is we need to do. But then, Sonja, you mentioned having the courage, having the willpower to actually being able to make it a reality. And so we need to be able to find a way to be able to energize ourselves on an inner level so that then we have the capacity to have clear thinking. You mentioned a peaceful mind. That's so important. When my mind is peaceful, I can see what choices are possible, and I can also have the strength to make the right choice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Jayanti. To bring the ethical principles of fairness, justice, accountability. And I was reminded of a slogan that any group is as strong as its weakest link. So it's all our responsibility to make sure that the vulnerable populations get the power and support they need. So let's see if we have any questions from the audience. We open up for 5 minutes questions. Here at the front, yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity for the question, and I'd like to address all the speakers, please. You've been talking about ethical principles, and they are all very good. We agree with them. We cannot do more than agree. But the question would be, where can we find the power to implement those principles from? Where can we get the power?
Thank you very much. Interesting question. And just got to know that Suresh Yadav need to leave for the next program, so I will give you 1 minute. Where do you get the power to implement your ethical principles from?
That's a very fundamental question, and thank you for asking this question. The power to serve the society, the power to serve the planet comes from within. I don't know how many of you realize that we have our own human nuclear reactor within our body, and that gives us energy to take on any challenges. And that power itself also gives the power to have those ethical principles which can lead us to difficult situations which may not be possible to survive otherwise. So I will say that our inner self, our inner strength, and the society and the environment where we have been raised allows us and gives that power to continue on that ethical principles over a period of time. And as I mentioned in the beginning, that whenever you find that the people, societies, and countries have deviated from those ethical principles for the profit, for the benefit, which may be short-term, which may be long-term, has led to many challenges, personally, community-wise, society-wise, and the country-wise. So this is my personal experience. Others may have a very different experience, but this is how I see going forward. Sometimes the manifestation of this power may be silent, sometimes it may be visible, sometimes may be invisible. It depends upon the individual circumstances. But thank you for a very thought-provoking question. Really appreciate.
Thank you, and thank you very much for participating in our program. Thank you. So I'll Golo, next question. Next answer.
Yeah, thanks very much for the very interesting question. I'm a meditator since the last 40 years. And actually in meditation or yoga means connection to the divine for self-enlightenment. So in meditation, I can connect to the divine power, draw energy, and I connect to my inner goodness. And this meditation helps me to have positive affirmations. I'm good, the other person is good, whatever happens is good, and what I'm going to do is helping also others and will be beneficial. So meditation helps me in a way to connect to my deep inner goodness, to my own inner core, bring it out, stabilize it, and helps me to bring it into practical actions. So that has supported me in the last 40 years and helped me also to initiate many of these projects you have seen. And that helps me to keep going also here in the COP.
Thank you. Sister Jayanti, same question. Yeah.
I think Brother Golo answered it beautifully, but just to add further that it's a very simple type of meditation we practice. You don't have to stop thoughts. You can let thoughts flow, but decide the direction you want them to go in. And if I can gently think about the inner being and my own core values, and also feel the presence of the divine and connect with the divine, then that surely is going to give me the power to follow my own core values, not just for myself personally, but also make decisions for policies in terms of communities and the country. So taking time out for the self is absolutely vital, especially for leaders who are responsible for so many other people's lives.
Thank you very much. And on this note, I think we can have a 2-minute reflection together to practice what they've been speaking. So 2-minute meditation, Sister Jayanti.
Just carry on sitting comfortably. You don't have to change your posture or sit on the floor or anything. But the best way is to keep both feet on the ground so that then the body is balanced. I'll speak out my own thoughts and invite you to follow these ideas in your own mind. You don't have to chant or repeat the words. Just silently follow that train of thought inside. I reflect on the things I've been hearing about. I want to look at the whole subject of truth, of honesty, of peace. And I go deeper and deeper within myself. And I check, what are my own inner values? I am a being of peace. I am a being of light. And in this awareness, I can feel the presence of the divine. And from the source of light, of love, of purity, peace, and bliss, having filled myself with these qualities, I can feel that these qualities are reaching not only me, but from the ocean, the waves of the ocean are moving into the world. we share these vibrations, these waves of peace, love, and truth to all the corners of this gathering, knowing that the divine is in charge and all of us can be instruments to share peace. Thank you.
So big thanks to our speakers. And next, I want to share some information about next program. So here you can find more information. And we also have a Climate Wisdom live stream every evening if you want to join in on our YouTube channel. And tomorrow evening we have a youth champion from Uganda, Vanessa, a colleague of Greta Thunberg, and Budi and Sister Jayanti in the studio. So thank you very much to all of you, and have a nice rest day. And you want to go back on the slide so she gets the information? That's what you're asking? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much.